Alright, here we go. I gotta take those 4 gears out of there. And you notice they have these little spacers there. You gotta make sure you put that flat side back down. Grab that. Pulls right out of there. So there's one. You gotta notice that little thing is, the little notch is up. Remember that. I got that gear down in there. Should just pull right out of there. Give me a little. Wish I had a pick tool. But I don't. That gear is super ate up. And I barely even got to drive this thing. I don't even think I got an hour on this thing. I mean, look, pieces just laying there. Clean that out real good, and then I gotta re-grease it. I mean, there's chunks everywhere. It just blowed apart. Make sure of a few things when you do this. Make sure you grease it, definitely. But make sure you put that bearing back on there, right there. That bearing. And that little rubber grommet on the inside there. Make sure when you put the pin back in there for the drive shaft. See, when I put that back in there, that pushes that up. Make sure that's seated down in there real good, because you don't want that out of place. Make sure you don't drop your phone into that grease like I just did. Then you got that little pin there. It goes, I don't know if you can see it through that hole right there. That holds the gear on. Here is the replacement front and rear differential bevel gear set. Now it says LST2 AFT. You can also use the 8T parts. They're basically all the same, no matter what they say. See how it's got a notch in it? That notch is for that little bar that I was talking about. Slide that bar through that hole. Set this on that nut. Put it down in there with some needle nose pliers. Got it seated real nice. And on to the next step. What we're going to do is put the new gears on the new bars, just like that one is. Make sure you reuse these end pieces. Guessing they're like spacers. They hold that bar in, and they don't give you new ones. And I just noticed something. The new ones came with washers. The old part, no washers. No washers on that. So, I don't think I'm going to use them, but I guess we'll see. Don't forget, dip them in a little bit of that grease you got. It's just regular bearing grease, or some people use silicone. So don't forget to dip that before you put on the gears. And make sure you face the gears to the inside where the notch is. That's how these are going to go. Alright, I used the needle nose to get them down in there. Now the gears are going to try to slide, but that's alright. You just got to make sure you get them spacers in the right spot. Once you got them spacers in the right spot, you take them needle nose and you just push them gears apart so they slide right up in there. Some thin needle nose is where you want it. And that's how it should look when you get done. All nice. And I might put a little more gear oil in there, a little more grease. We'll grease it up real nice. One more sprocket to go. That bad boy right there. I don't remember if I said this, but each one of those bars has a notch in them. So they'll, right there in the middle of that X there, they're gonna notch into each other. All right, one thing you gotta remember, don't forget to put this gasket back into there after we get it all together, get it all greased up. Definitely want that gasket right back up on top there. And the same thing with this gear, it just pulls right off there. Pulls right off. Same thing, it's got the little bar, it's got the rubber grommet. This gear has a notch in the back. You just basically replace that bar, put the gear back on there. Alright, this ring kept wanting to fall off of the axle coupler here. Let's see here, put it right around there like that. It goes on top of that bearing. You're going to want to hit all this with some more grease. Get it all good and greased up, ready to go. Right. See the 4 holes? And the 4 holes on that. Line those up, set your screws in. Your diff is all together. Halfway there. Gasket goes right on there. Alright, now that everything's good and greased up, you grease up the outside too. Grease it all up. Set it right down in there. Should turn real nice. Set the top on that bad boy. Blammo. Put the 3 screws back in. I'm going to take this and slide it back in there in the little notches. That slides in there. Then we got these, they slide right in to the notches. Dirty side out. Alright, after you get this drive shaft piece slid up in there, make sure you connect the center drive shaft there. Your 2 little notches are in that hold that. Then you're going to take this piece here, and it's going to be a whole lot easier. Take these guide pins for the A-arms. I think it's going to be easier to do it like this. Go ahead and slide all your guide pins in each one. You're going to need your A-arms, but you see how it slides in there. I'm going to slide your drive shaft into that slot. See the slot there? Line that up first. Then you want to get them A-arms on. You take your guide pin, slide it up in there. When you do this, you want to make sure your screws are in the front for your shocks. Do the same thing with this one. Line the drive shaft up. Line everything up. And these guide pins, a whole lot easier if you just tap them in there. just tap them with your pliers or whatever. But you line everything up. That one just slid right on in, look at that. And there you go. Make sure they're in the very end there too. Remember from the previous video, I broke my wheelie bar apparently. But you take this plastic piece with your wheelie bar attached to it, you just push it right up in there, put the 4 screws in. After that, you attach your actual wheelie bar here. It goes right up underneath, right in there, and then you can put those last 2 screws in down there, but make sure you do those 4 first. Now all you gotta do is put your shocks back on and your shock tower. Shocks go in just like that. That screw goes right in between that ball. I'm gonna put the shock tower on first before I do the shocks. That's just this metal plate. It's got notches it fits into right there on each side. It's got 6 screws up front, then the shock tower fits on it. 4 screws on the shock tower. Make sure you got it the right way. Studs facing out. Hook your shocks to that and you are done.